to another episode of Good Gas Mondays with me, Krystal Tomlinson. It is our weekly check-in for all things good for your spirit. We're sharing powerful stories and ideas that guarantee a new perspective for you. I'm amazed every time I have a guest how much I learn. I do a lot of reading, a lot of research, a lot of study, and I never fail to learn when I talk to another human being. And so we want to bring those stories into your spaces. You might be going through a difficult time, feeling isolated, that stress and struggle is unique to you and nobody else will understand because the universe just out forget you and you alone. None of us up. Everybody is going through their own journey, their own rocky roads, valleys, and we're all trying to get to a consistent experience with the peaks of the mountains. But ain't nothing wrong with being in your valley as long as you're learning those lessons and you allow them to help you climb that hill in your own time, at your own speed. So our guest today is Shauna Gay Mitchell, aka Sapphire. She has a very interesting story and brings a unique perspective as a Jamaican mom. There is a Jamaican mom stereotype, you know, tired, broom in her hand, polish for red floor, and a little leather belt to keep you in line, right? Drop the slip over, breast and walk up to the primary school and beat it at the school at the front of your picnic them. So it's important that we understand that there are different layers to motherhood. In any culture, there's not one mom who mothers exactly the same way as another one. But I find Sapphire's story to be very interesting because she is a stay-at-home mom. She homeschools, she's a mother of 3, and parent to Marley, a son who's living with a rare skin condition, shortened EB, but the long name for it is epidermolysis bullosa. I forgot to slow it down one day, and utilize my syllabalization of the word. She's also a blogger and a vlogger. I'm going to allow her to tell you the full length and breadth of her story because motherhood itself is an importantly unique journey. You're not just relearning you as a human being, but you're guiding a brand new being in the space. And so there's a lot to do, and then there's a lot to learn. And I'm learning that myself as a new mommy. Welcome to Good Gas Mondays. Lady Sapphire, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm so excited to hear your story. Walk one, what's up?
All right, thank you so much for having me, Krystal. All right, so I am a mom, and I always knew I'd become a mom. I mean, of course, we all have these dreams and expectations, and everybody thinking about a career and all that. But I just always knew inside that beyond anything else, I was going to become a mom. So, of course, having 3 kids, that's no surprise. Is a wonder I don't have more. Worked on that, not having no more. Anyways, yes, so I have 3 children, and I homeschool them all. I have a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So the 12-year-old is a girl, and the 9-year-old and the 4-year-old are boys. The 4-year-old now, he was born with a very rare skin condition called epidermolysis bullosa. It's a rare skin condition that causes his skin to blister. And it can randomly blister. So the thing is with EB, we call it EB for short, your skin is so sensitive that any kind of friction will just tear the skin, right?
So just to hold him,
can hurt him. Like, as a matter of fact, one of the biggest reason why he still has wounds is because we still have to hold him. So hopefully we get to the stage where he's just 100% independent and we don't have to hold him and he'll have less blisters. EB is the nickname for EB is butterfly skin. And it's aptly named because their skin is literally as sensitive as a butterfly skin. So we can't hold him under his arm. You know, like every baby, you kind of lift them up that way, you can't hold it. We could never hold him like that because it's kind of hard to bandage this area. And as I mentioned the word bandage, we have to keep him bandaged. So hands and feet and torso bandaged. Bathing him is not as simple.
That's immediately what came to my mind. How does he take a bath?
Well, it's like a soap bath, a warm soap bath, and it's normally saline. We normally put baking soda or salt in it because that kills bacteria. It's an ordeal. It's not pleasant for him or for me per se, but we get through it.
It hurts? Does it hurt when he blisters, or it's kind of like, I don't feel it happened, but...
Well, his tolerance for pain is really high, but the truth is it does hurt. Some blisters don't hurt at all, and then, you can tell the ones that will hurt and some don't. The thing with the blisters is we have to pop them with a injection needle thingy, so that's not...
So it's a whole experience.
It's a nightmare, but why am I telling you say God good? I say but God, because EB is so rare that 1 in 20,000 people in America get it. and not everyone was born with EB survives. So for Marley to be in a third world country, and big up Jamaica, and to be not just surviving but thriving is amazing. As far as I know, currently there's no other child in Jamaica with EB. I heard of one that was born before him, and that child migrated. But that child, I really want to meet this person because they're probably my age, or 30 something.
So you want to see what life looks like now in adulthood?
Yes, I'd love to meet her mom more than anything else. I'd love to meet her mom because her mom, I happened to find the same pediatrician that she had. So that's how I heard of her, Dr. Palomina Lou. Some people in Kingston know Dr. Pal. Big up Dr. Pal. She's kind of elderly, but there are old people who still go to her because, you know, when you find a good thing, you just
stick with it.
go.
As long as she's still at work,
Trust me, Dr. Pal, man. So with guidance from Dr. Pal and guidance from Dr. Fitzhenley, his dermatologist, those are the only two people who I get a lot of advice from. Now that I've moved to Mandeville, we're seeing Dr. Singh, and he's open, and he's, you know, not afraid to research, and he's bright and everything. And I mention all of that because EB is so rare that I've had a few encounters with people in the medical profession who either pretend to know what EB is and then end up causing my child some harm, or their attitude to it is, you know, it's the truth is people don't know about EB, so even a doctor, they won't necessarily know about EB, and that can be hard to deal with because it's hard to get help. And so for the most part, we just have to do a lot of research. We have to read a lot. Thank God, Daddy and I love to read, I love to research, and we've learned how to manage this condition that there's so far no cure for. But I don't really pay attention to science. I believe in God and herbs and natural things, and He was born this way, so you know God must have a plan here.
So you have 3 children.
3.
Marley being the youngest of the 3. Motherhood for you though has been unique even before Marley.
Marley.
You decided to be a stay-at-home mommy, which means no going to the office to do any work. I'm 100% dedicated to my picking them. And not only that, I'm going to pull them out of the formal school system and teach them at my yard. Why did you choose stay-at-home motherhood?
Overall, well, the truth is before I even had my first child, my hubby and I decided we wanted to homeschool. So that was always the aim. Sorry. I grew up in a way where I was one of those to be seen and not heard kids, and so I developed my value system from getting high grades. I thought if I didn't get good grades, then I don't really matter to anybody. Sadly, love my parents and all that, but that's what I observed, that's what I thought, and so I was just a straight A student who honestly I don't think I was as bright as everybody thought. I just got the grades after schoolwork done. I don't remember nothing. And so I was like, this is not what I want for my children. I want them to actually learn. I want to be there. I want to be there to see them grow, to be a part of it, and to ensure that they focus more on learning and enjoying that experience rather than just bringing up grades and competition. Because I think competition can be good for you, but the over competitiveness, especially with GSAT, thank God say done, although pep kind of weird. I don't like it. So. And
it really sets the child up to determine their value and worth based on which school they go to.
Yes, exactly.
So if you don't pass one of the best schools, it means you're not one of the best students and can never be. Right. So just take what you're there in life and see how it works out.
And you don't want to set up children with limiting beliefs like that. Because the battle, like that phrase, battlefield of the mind, is a serious thing. So when you start thinking in your head that you're not good enough, then it's hard. Running this race of life is just harder. It's just way harder, and a child just must not. I don't think a child should have to contend with thinking they're not as good as because they're not getting the highest grades when they have other things that they're really good at. So when you're in an environment where you're homeschooling, it's easy to see what your children's talents are. And I don't think I've ever been around any homeschool child who just doesn't thrive in some way, shape, or form. And the truth is, every single child thrives, because I've been around other people's kids who go to school and the parents complain that they're not good at this or they're not that and and a couple of minutes I spend with them and I can diagnose pretty quickly, this child is talented, this child is good at whatever. It's just not everybody has the time to spend the time with the children, but if you do really try to spend time with them, not just see them as children, but see them as human beings with opinions and everything that they say matter. Listen to them, you'll see that there's something behind that.
There's this powerful graphic, a cartoon almost, that answers this question of how we want everybody to do the same thing, but we all come to the table with different talents, and it's almost like there's a stream that people have to cross, right? And there are all these different animals who must cross the stream. So there's an elephant, there's a fish, there's a monkey, there's a bird. Clearly, some will cross it more efficiently than others, just naturally talented. The fish, I would probably be the first man to reach over there. The monkey now, if we go find a branch or a tree limb to make a bridge. But we're saying, you're on the clock, go. And if that's the metric that we use, it's really unfair.
Yeah, it is unfair.
So what's some of the language that you're using at home as you school? Do you go into teacher mode? Do you stay in mommy mode? How effective are you at being teacher?
That can be interesting, but what is important is scheduling and having structure at home. It took a while to get to the point where there was structure, and I definitely needed to get help with that because I'm a little bit of a
free spirit.
Yes, definitely a free spirit, the creative kind. But children need structure. So, and they thrive better under structure even when they rebel and they act like they don't want to. So having set times for schoolwork, having even an atmosphere where I play music, study music or jazz music or lounge music, that type of thing in the house. When those types of music is on, then everybody's kind of settled and chilled and you just get schoolwork done. And on days where everybody's settled, and especially when there's some music playing, schoolwork can be done like by 1 o'clock. And I have my 9-year-old, my son, he is super quick. Typically by midday he's done school, and then I have the task of finding someone else to give him. And this has been happening since he was like 3. I used to go through textbooks way too fast with him. It used to actually annoy me. You're not supposed to complain about that, but it was annoying because I want him to do this amount of work. Yeah, and I need to get my me time. But what is this me time we talk about? I don't really know if I have a good grasp on this me time. Yeah. I have to kind of get my kids involved in everything I do, or else I'll just be unhappy. So basically, the structure though is what is important. And you beyond structured time, you allow them, you give them freedom to go ahead and to explore, because again, each child has their own interests. So my daughter is interested in creative stuff like me, and she loves to cook and bake, and Pinterest is her thing. Whereas my son will be like reading some science, boring plutonium, this and that weird geeky stuff that I don't know about. So he's like off in his own world.
So there's this fear that people have that if you don't allow your child to go to a school, then your child will never meet a friend, and the child might become a sociopath, and they kind of spiral down of all the things that are going to happen to your kids because they're just not in a classroom with 35 other kids.
Trust me.
How do you handle the social needs that your children have?
That's so good that you asked that, because everybody always asks me, what about socialization? And what I always say is meet my children. Mm-hmm. My children are very bubbly, and they're social animals themselves. They're anywhere they go, they're the life of the party. And that's interesting because, they don't go to school. They do extracurricular activities on the side, karate, swimming, football for my son, and they're big in church. But when a child is homeschooled, they tend to interact a lot with adults, so they tend to be more confident. So expressing themselves is not something that in my experience with my children and a few others, they don't have problems expressing themselves. There's no shyness.
Layer.
Yes, there's no shyness at all. My kids probably are a little bit too much and extra.
I have, and it's a concern. I'm raising a teenage boy. He's in 4th form now. Mm-hmm. Extremely brilliant. Very disciplined when he chooses to be. And so there are moments when he deliberately chooses to be disciplined because he wants to see what that not good kid life is about, because he's in class with some
appealing.
So you have some classmates who just kind of wild and just roll with it and see where it go. And so he's interested to say, if I was that kind of student, how would the teachers react? What if my parents had to come to school every morning? Let me do something so I end up doing at the dean.
Get some more attention. Hello.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because he knows what the right thing to do is, and he's very capable of doing it, but that he's deliberately saying, I'm going to test my English teacher today, and I'm going to backsass her for 25 minutes, and then nothing I'll teach in a class. And then I get a call, and I have to talk to him like, this makes no sense. I said to him once, you don't need to do these things. They assume that I've started to abuse you at home. I said, make no mistake. They know that you are naturally a good kid, and then one day you come and do something bad. And I said, first question they ask me, is something happening at home? And I said to him, I said, when you do these things, they don't think that you're just being rude. They think that you start getting dinner and you probably have a goat that you have to take care of when you come home.
Or they assume that mommy and daddy had some argument, or mommy had
yes, and taking it out
straight to that
in class. But one of the things I found interesting was very recently in his English class, there's an interaction between him and the teacher, and he was being very rational in his analysis of it, and the teacher could not understand why he would not just obey her. And in the classroom, there's just that dynamic. And I had to explain that to him. I said, listen, you have a rational thought. You are absolutely correct. But your teacher is not trained to interact with you that way.
And that's part of why I didn't really like the school thing too.
And he said to me immediately after that, he said, can I not go to fifth form at that school? I said, what, you want to go to another high school? He says, no, I want to go to pre-university where I can have a little more independence. I said, well, listen, I don't have a problem with that. The nature of what you're thinking is not a bad thing. Just show me that you have the discipline to get your work done, because that independent learning space means that you don't have a teacher over your back. So, but I found it important to allow him that exploration, at least in the thought that you don't have to be in high school to be a good student.
I say go for it. I like that.
So, me go take a risk.
It can be scary, I know, but try it out, man. Just try to, especially give him something to do in the summer and see how he manages that.
Okay.
And I'll have some kind of agreement with him so that if he fails to keep his end of the bargain, then
it's right back up to regular school.
You throw the ball in my court so I can do what I want. You give him some choice. Give him some autonomy there and see how it goes.
Sapphire, I'm going to do it. I'm going to report back to you and tell you all the struggles I'm having.
Especially with the age that he's at, it's going to go good. Especially if he wants to go to pre-U, he's going to do what he needs to do.
He does. And his reasoning behind it was so very clear that I had to give it thought. It wasn't me tired of school and I want my own way. But he couldn't understand why he had to do something just because the teacher said, even though the teacher couldn't rationalize it to him. But in that moment now of disciplining a child in a formal school system, you don't want a teacher to get vindictive, and I explained that to him. I said, you could be extremely right, and you just start getting bare 50s
and
in your brain.
This is why I'm considering actually getting my kids into school, because we've been homeschooling since 2012. And my daughter did GSAT, and she'd been 8th grade now, and we were considering making her start high school in 9th grade, but that's kind of a lot for her to just get all these subjects thrown on you one time. So I think for 10th grade, and definitely for my son, I want them to go to school not because of academics, but because they've been living in a bubble. And I want them to see that you can do everything right, be likable, and somebody can just decide to not like you, and you have to learn how to navigate that.
Oh God.
So my daughter's not for this going to no school business.
Because there's a level of conformity that's required. Like you do it because everybody else is doing it. You know?
And they've been taught to question everything. So I'm gonna enjoy watching, seeing how that unfolds. But I can tell you, my daughter's not for it at all. My son is all for it. Because even in the dynamics of home right now, my daughter, you can leave her to do schoolwork. I feel like I'm just stepping in every now and then to see how she's doing, how you're doing. I haven't been really teaching her for the last year. She has her curriculum, she has her stuff, and she's self-taught. She goes through her thing.
Wow.
My son, though, as quick as he is and all that, he's a boy. Sorry
he
to do that, he's a boy.
In a little.
Yeah, man, he'll pretend to be doing something. Oh, mommy, I'm done. And when you check it out, it's a game he's playing. And you have to go punish him now, and he put himself in problems, and that's just how it's going to have to go.
Okay.
That will not happen with my daughter.
So as a homeschooling mom, there has to be some point where you separate teacher and mommy. How do you draw that line? Because it's difficult for my teenagers to take instruction from me on non-mommy issues. So if we're talking about their friends, or shows that are appropriate to watch, like things that they think mothers should not be involved in, they kind of go, you say that, but until I hear it corroborated by another voice, you're just giving me the mom thing.
Yeah.
How do you separate that?
That's
or is that you don't need to?
Yeah, you don't really need to, because in our household, like everybody, like we just do everything together. We have open conversations about everything, so they have access to everything. And I kind of had I made a promise to them when they were really young that any question they ask, I have to answer it.
Okay.
And so, like how old was she? 6 or something, and I was in a store, and somebody was talking about rape. Was she 6? Whatever the age was, it was at the age that she was way too young. She's like, Mommy, what is rape? And I was like trying to say, I'll talk to you. She's like, but Mommy, you said that you'll answer all my questions. And I had to explain what rape was in the store with other people, and they're like, wow, that's a good answer you gave her. And I was like, I didn't know what I was doing.
Just flowing.
I was doing. And that's the thing with being a mommy and motherhood and parenthood is you kind of winging it, There's no, apart from the Bible, which I think is a manual, if you're digging into it, there's no life manual. You kind of have to figure it out as you go. So even with EB and having to become this wound care expert now, I'm winging it. We have to wing it, but
how do you build a support system? Because you've chosen a non-traditional way of child rearing.
Mm-hmm.
Who supports you?
Well, first of all, my husband and I were a really, really strong unit, and he has to work so hard. So when people call me supermom and all those things, cool, but I wouldn't be as strong as I am if I didn't have a strong man, a rock. Mm-hmm. And I've been demonstrate how much of a rock he is. Like when Marley was born, I had Marley at Victoria Jubilee, and that I feel like God told me to go to Jubilee because I was supposed to go to UA, and I was going to UA, but I just kept hearing this voice, go to Jubilee, because they say if something go wrong, that's the best place to go to. And I go down there and it was not nice, but I just did feel like I must go there, and God go through because I couldn't manage UA bill. But yeah, so fast forward to Marley's born, and my head is bursting because I don't even know what this woman is trying to pronounce to me. So I can barely pronounce the word no. And he couldn't be there. Jubilee don't allow fathers to be there. I kind of hate that. I can't wait for them to change it. That's really archaic. But yeah, so I call him and tell him what I understand happened to the child, to Marley. And it's a C-section, so I can't see my child either. I'm taken away from him. So anyways, I tell him, and he listens to me and will come off the phone, and he calls back in like 5 minutes. No, 10 minutes. But he calls back and he's like, Shauna, do not go on the phone. Don't go online. Do not look at anything online. Promise me you won't go online. Turn off the data. And I'm like, okay, alright. Anyways, I in my States, I go sleep and everything. And 2 days later, not even 2 days later, that night, the nurse came back up to me to say, my child needs this particular ointment that's not at the hospital, and I need to get it. The child needs it. So I was like, okay, fine. I tell him go drive down, yard pharmacy, get it, carry it, come. And then they're surprised. The doctor left because they didn't expect this thing to come. That's the kind of man that he is. But then now, what I'm getting to is 2 days later, when I finally get to go where Marley is, because he was in a NICU, and when you have a C-section, you can't really walk up and down. And they sedated me because my head was bursting. Like I saw this child with no skin on his skin, like no. That's what I'm wearing. No, yeah, it was from his knee down to his ankle. There was no epidermis, so it kind of looked like liver. It was just like raw, weird looking. So he came with some thick, like he printed out 50 odd pages, two sets of it for the doctors and nurses to read. So I'm like, what is this? And he's like, listen to me. They're going to need to read this, and I'm going to need to make them read it. Because they don't know what they're doing. Honestly, they had seen Evie once before, but that child didn't make it. So the main doctor, which was actually a good doctor, was telling me to be prepared for him to not live, like to go and see a grief counselor and all these things, and
wow.
get kind of wild up in our face because my baby the writer say I talk like you're not gonna live, and it was a whole thing. But yeah. He just got really proactive. He told me later on that when I called him and told him what happened, he said he had 15 minutes of motherhood, just 15 minutes, and after that he was like, no, get it together, do something about this, did all the research, contact people in New York, blah, 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 get information, and brought a very valuable document to that hospital because they have it there now, they highlighted everything in it, and the care changed, and Marley's here. Marley's doing well. And the child before him had the same thing that he had and
They
didn't
didn't
make
know
it.
what to do. So he has saved the life of some child to come, just by being a responsible parent, a present parent.
That's just the rock that he is. Like I'm the nurturer. I'm bubbly. I'm all the affectionate. All of that.
He sees the strategy, the blocks that need to go in place. Like this needs to happen.
I'm all over the place, and he's rock, like literal rock.
Beautiful.
God knows how to put people together, right?
Exactly. No, I'm sure there are parents out there who are listening now, might be intrigued about the possibility of homeschooling. Where would they get information? How do they get started?
That's the thing. Alright, so there is a rising, the homeschooling is rising in Jamaica. There's a support system online, the community is growing. The government actually supports it because there is an independent schools unit, so homeschoolers can go through that. I would highly recommend that everyone who's going to homeschool register their child with the Ministry of Education so that the CDA doesn't show up at the door like they did with me.
Thinking the child is being kept from school.
Apparently, people are, a neighbor, one of my neighbors, I lived in a complex, somebody reported that I was preventing my child from going to school. Mind you, anybody asks me questions, I'm very open to talk, so they just didn't agree with what I was doing. And CDA came, but the CDA came at like the perfect time, while school's going on and everything's set up, and she came in and she was all impressed and all that. So good, but don't go through that if you don't want to go through that. Just register your child. They're helpful in terms of we're supposed to have meetings with them. I don't really know how that's going, but you get a lot of emails, and when it's time for your child to do national exams, they facilitate that by putting your child with a school or telling you which center to go to. So that's how they got to do the grade 4 literacy exam and numeracy exam and GSAT and so forth. Okay. So and not only that, a lot of people don't know, this is not just for homeschool people, but I think people in the homeschool community know it more. If you need textbooks, you can go to the ministry and they just give you textbooks if they have them available. So like when you're homeschooled now, you just tell them what grade you're at and they send books to you. So
sweet.
Yeah, there's support, there's a lot of
if we ask the
things
right
there
questions,
if you explore. Just like there's so many scholarships at the Ministry of Education that just sitting down there.
Well, that too is a big problem. Yeah, we'll get into that probably with a ministry rep on how people need to know.
Exactly.
And I mean, literally, some handholding is going to be necessary. Walk into the communities where you know the children are and sit down with the parents and fill out the application form for them. You'll have to do that for some people.
And let people know.
So before you leave, one question I absolutely have to ask you: what's the biggest fear that you've had to kill?
As a parent?
Anything? It might well be as a
Boy,
parent.
let me think, because only for something may grow now. Just thinking that you're not good enough, or that you don't, just believing that lie that you're not good enough and you can't get it together. Like, none of that can possibly be true. If you're alive, you are good enough. Don't listen to that thing in your mind. Like, many times the things that's in your head is what's holding you back. You don't need to have money, you don't need to have the things you see other people have. It's
to have a good life.
To have a good life and to have whatever it is you want. It's as simple as believing it, speaking it, and it will happen.
Beautiful.
And it's not just a thing that people saying. It's true something.
Listen, everybody who is successful, like massively successful, extremely wealthy, say the same thing.
It's almost true.
They could buy the joy. They could pay people to be around them to laugh at all their jokes. But they say the same thing.
Yes,
whatever you tell yourself up here,
it
manifests into your life.
But I see my life change when I start changing my thoughts. So for real, I have to do that.
Fantastic. Great talking to you, Sapphire. Super mom, homeschooling a super son, Marley, who is so conscious of his right to be here and his right to exist as a human being, not as a sick human being or a human being don't have all the things that he should have. He recognizes his right to exist as he is. And I think from what you've told me, he has a beautiful support system at home. And of course, sending you all kinds of positive energies to continue walking that path that you have determined to be true and right for your family. Yeah, enough love and joy. This is good gas. And I've learned something already talking to you. Have some research to do on my own. And I'm hoping that she has illuminated some dark corner for you as a listener. That you feel like, I can go do this, I can try this. Or at least I know where to ask more questions about this. She's available online, so give us that contact information. Where do we find you?
Well, I have a blog called homeschoolmomja.com. I post there pretty regularly. And I have a blog channel on YouTube. Posted in a little bit, but there's going to be a lot going on this year, so you can see your family on YouTube at I Am Sapphire. The channel is called I Am Sapphire, I believe, right? And on Instagram, it's at I Am Sapphire, and there's lots of random posts, of us homeschooling or me bandaging Marley or just anything. Yes, just anything. It's authentic. We don't set up nothing. We don't have no time to find out perfection. I really don't have time for that. So it's authentic. If you see something thrown up on the bed, that's where it go, whatever, that's what you don't get. It's just us.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm advising you as a listener, if you don't subscribe yet, now's the time to subscribe, because you never know who we're going to be talking to and what powerful lessons they have to share. It's Good Gas Mondays with Krystal Tomlinson. Follow me online at Krystal Tomlinson on Facebook and on Instagram, and our YouTube page, Krystal Tomlinson JA. Looking forward to seeing your comments and your feedback. Share this podcast with any mom or parent you know needs a super powerful booster right now. I'm sure it's going to energize them in a good gas kind of way. So until you join us for another episode, live good, think good, be good, and just enjoy the goodness that exists naturally in your life. You're blessed. It's abundance, not scarcity.